To give you some context for the folks who actually don't know what the AI agents are, they are like intelligent digital workers, which means that they can do tasks for you. It's not just that AI agents not only analyze the data or just answer the questions, they are capable of doing tasks on your behalf. So they can act, they can make decisions, they can also interact with different systems and also with other agents with minimal intervention. Now the rise of AI agents, so if you see, if you look at the statistics from last year to this year, every enterprise is trying to build and deploy AI agents applications in their operations to scale their processes or automate their repetitive tasks and also set up their processes throughout the workplace. To give you some, a standard example, if you look at the supply chain industry today, right? From ordering your logistics to aiding your customer service representatives. So everything is doing by AI agents, if you know. So just look at the internet and you'll get to understand how these things are happening, right? Okay. Now that we understood that the way AI agents are doing a very good job, everything is going smooth, right? But there are certain things which also has some problems today when we are working on AI agents. Right? So it's not that everything is pretty smooth, but let's try to understand what are the current challenges or the limitations where AI agents are currently facing when we are trying to build these applications at the enterprise device, right? So if you look at this classic example on this slide, right? Let's say you run a travel agency, okay, and you have built two different agents internally, right? One agent is trying to book your flight tickets, and other agent is trying to book your hotel tickets, okay? And both of these agents are built with two frameworks called Crew AI, okay? One of the framework. And if you also look at on the other side, there is also another agent called Bank, which also has an agent, and it was built by Google ADK. Again, I'm not going to talk in detail about Google ADK because I don't want to be spoiler for Sanket's session, which is there on the post lunch, right? So he'll talk about more on that. But the challenge here is, this was built with QAI and this was built with Google ADK. But what they are trying to do here is, so this travel agent is trying to reach out to the third-party agent, which is a bank. Why he wants to get some customer information to get, for example, to get a customer credit score, so that whether he know whether the customer qualifies for a business class or not, right? So based on your credit scores, your travel agent might give you some perks, right? So in order to get that information, he is trying to reach out to this bank. But what this bank is currently doing is, he's hesitating to give the customer data because. And plus, if you also look at, these two agents are built with different tools, right? So it's not like, everything is built with Crew AI. If everything was with Crew AI, you have all the access to information. But if you look at here, one is with Crew AI, another one is Google ADK. That's the reason why bank is trying to hesitate to share the information. So this is the where your A2A, agent to AA protocol comes into the picture and solves the problem. Now, what is AA to A? And why this matters. So it's an open communication protocol, which means that it's a new set of rules that basically derives or that give access to AI agents to securely communicate to each other, collaborate, negotiate, and work on their task with little human intervention. That's what and it was especially built for large-scale AI teams. The reason is, so when Google was trying to work on a different AI agent applications on an enterprise level, they were facing certain challenges because you cannot, as I mentioned, right? So you cannot connect with other vendors to get information. So in order to avoid those things, so this protocol will help to get the information, no matter whether you have built the teams or whether you are working with a different applications or you are with a different vendor or not. When this is in place, you can get everything done. And break down AI silos, meaning that right now most of the AI agents are isolated, which means that they are specifically tied to certain applications or a data. So ATA basically smashes up those barriers and give you flexibility to interact with agents with the different systems and applications, regardless of who have they built or I mean to say, these applications are built or where they are deployed. For example, if your one agent is working with Google Cloud and the other agent is there with AWS, it doesn't matter. So if you are working in a cross-sectional, it will still act as a bridge and try to get deploy your applications as per your use case. So that powerful it is. And of course, it's so when you are trying to build these applications in respect of a cross domain or a cross vendors, right? So it automatically improves your productiveness because you don't need to worry. There is no sort of a blocker that is happening in your application, right? So it automatically improves your productivity and also improves your operational efficiency in the long run. And A2A provides a standardized way of managing your AI systems because all your AI systems in one place. So as I mentioned, so it doesn't matter which vendor you are working with or which application or which framework you are working with. So it all doesn't matter. So everything can happen as per your use case and you can easily get it done. And one of the interesting things this even highlighted for me is that it's not just a topic that is happening now. The A2A is not just a topic. It's widely adopted and supported by all these enterprises. So it's already working in a real time. So all of these partners which you are seeing on the slide, right? They're already trying to adopt it in their applications. So now you can, if you think from a strategically or a business perspective, now that you understand that it's not just something buzzword that is happening on the market. It is widely adopted by industry day by day. So you can see it's a very long way to go. So there is a lot of potential that you see down the line with the A2A. Okay, now that we understand what A2A and how actually A2A, why it actually matters. So let's see how A2A actually works in practice. Like what is the underhood how the underhood interaction, like one agent to other agent happen, and how these things will take in place, right? So A2A basically facilitates the communication between two agents, which is like your client agent and remote agent. So client agent is someone where tells that what kind of a job we need to do, and the remote agent is trying to figure out how they have to get the job done and get the result. So for example, here you are seeing only one agent here, for example, one client agent, and here the remote agent. There could be multiple remote agents. For example, it can be 6-7 remote agents. For example, one is good at fetching data, and one is good at interacting with APIs, and one is good at talking about issues in the cloud, right? Or one directly interacting external databases or external information outside of this premises, right? So there can be multiple agents. So, but how this entire communication thing will happen is these agents promote themselves, like advertise themselves. To give you in a very layman perspective, for example, when you go for a job interview, right? So you give your resume and you say that I got these skills. Okay, I have got the data scientist skills. I am here for an opportunity. So when your hiring manager hires you, they look for your data scientist skill, whether you have a data scientist skills or not, right? So they look for those qualified skills and then they give you a job. Here, exactly what agents will try to do is they advertise themselves. So how they advertise themselves is they create through a JSON file. In JSON file, they define that what kind of a job I am capable of doing it. Okay, I am good at interacting with tools. That's what they define in their agent description. It's like they are just trying to promote themselves. That's what they do. So as I mentioned, so that's how this entire communication and interaction happens. But in order to work on a high level, right? So there are certain key features that helps in driving this A2A more aggressively. So secure collaboration. So as I mentioned, so when you are trying to talk with the different agents, right? So the collaboration is purely secure. You might be wondering, Kalyana, I'm trying to reach out to the third-party vendor. How secure is my communication? Because A2A has a standard protocol, and the communication that you are doing with a third-party vendor or any third-party application is pretty much secure, and you're like just talking to me. For example, right now I'm talking to you. When I ask something, you are responding to me. It's something that we are like talking to each other, right? That's exactly how it happens, the collaboration very securely. So they try to communicate each other not only about the task, they share the context, they also get to understand what user is asking, what user inputs, replies, everything. So everything happens pretty much in a security collaborative manner. And tasking state management, which is nothing but, so when agents are trying to interact together, right? So the primary focus will be on the task. So either it can be like short-term task, maybe on the long-term running. So everything will be pretty much focused on the task management system, right? There is no other sort of buzz. And user experience negotiation. So for example, whatever the agents are trying to communicate the information, right? So those sort of content can be basically break down into small parts. For example, it can be like an image, it can be text, or it can be video. So based on the information that we are trying to ask, and our agent try to look out the capability, right? So how capable I am, and based on that capability, he is able to deliver the things. And as I mentioned, finally the capability discovery is nothing but where agent is trying to showcase that what kind of a task I am capable of doing things, right? That's what the capability discovery is. So that is something they define through HSL5. Okay. Now we understand the A2A, everything is fine. Okay. Why we were talking about MCP now? Okay. There is a lot of confusion, discussion about MCP. Okay, first I'll traditionally talk about what MCP is. How many of you heard about MCP here? I know every LinkedIn post has MCP, right? We all know every LinkedIn post has MCP, right? Okay, so MCP is again an Anthropic. How many of you know Anthropic? Great. So it's an open source protocol that standardizes how applications provide context to LLMs. So to give you a very simple example, so you all know USBs, right? I'm sure most of the people who are sitting use iPhone here, right? You have the C port, right? So MCP is like a C port because with your C port you are able to connect to, can easily connect to multiple devices, right? Exactly, MCP acts as a C port for AI applications. So to fetch the data so that your application works smooth, so that you can connect to your different data sources and tools. Now here is a big confusion and question that's happening where the A2A actually comes in. Okay, when MCP is already there, it's also a multi-context protocol. That's pretty much what is the need for A2A, right? Why do we actually need A2A, right? Let me talk about this slightly in detail. But before this, I'll also tell you about, on a broader level, how MCP actually works. So the image that you are seeing on the left side, it's me, okay? It's a standard agent, okay? Standalone agent with limited capabilities. Like, I am capable, but I am limited. Like, I am not like autonomous. I have the capabilities of doing things, but I am limited. What do I mean by that is, I don't know what kind of a data I have to look for. I don't know what kind of a tools that I need to use. I'm not sure what kind of a user task that user is trying to ask. And the same image, if you look at on the right side, it's the same agent, but it is slightly enhanced with the MCP, which is giving me an access to the external context. So if you look at this, it's a standalone there you don't see, but if you look at this picture, so you have access to the external context. For example, you have access to the APIs, you have access to memory, you have access to the user interaction. So you are like, you've got a superpowers here, right? So you can easily work on any sort of a complex task when you have these sort of a capabilities. That's what MCP do on a high level in real time. Okay. So coming back to the point which I talked about, so when we already have an MCP, what's the need for A2A here? Okay, so there is a major difference between these two protocols, and these two protocols pretty much work in a collaborative manner. That's what we're going to see in the next few minutes, right? So if you look at MCP is pretty much in line with connecting your tools and APIs or data sources. So what MCP do is it acts as a bridge, and you try to connect only with the tools and APIs. So your agents will try to connect with these things. But if you look at the A2A, they try to connect with the agent to agent collaborate. So they talk directly with agent to agent and they share the communication, they do the negotiation, they work on the task, that's what they try to do. And if you look at the focus, the primary focus of the MCP, it's pretty much focused on the tools and API usage or the databases or data sources. And if you look at here, it's collaboration between agents. So it's like, I am talking to you. That's what API basically does. So simple example is like if I want to call a weather API from any third party, MCP will help me to get it done. But if you look at the API, I wanted like booking and payment agents working together. Like, okay, let me book for me from one agent is talking to other agent, that's how it usually works. And on a simple analogy, it's like, MCP is like, calling a function and it's like, talking to your teammates. That's what the major difference between. So to summarize it, right, MCP pretty much works with the tools and APIs and data, while API pretty much works with agent to agent. It's like, talking to agent to agent. Here also agent to agent, but it talks regarding tools, APIs and data, not with agents. That's the main difference. So this is a high level of architecture, right, where the MCP and API works. So that's why so they try to complement each other because both are not mutually exclusive, but they try to complement each other on a broader level so that they solve the complex AI agent ecosystem problems. So if you see here, you have agents working on the right side, and they are trying to collaborate through A2A protocol. These are like your remote agents, those are your client agents. So the communication happening between all these agents is A2A protocol. But if you also look at the downside, you also have an MCP. You also connected with these agents. But what they are trying to do is they are trying to talk regarding your tools, APIs, and your data. That's what they try to do in real time. And the future of interoperability, because when you try to leverage these two, the model context and the API, so you can build a very powerful AI solutions because you have two superpowers in place, so you don't need to worry. There is no such sort of a blocker that is happening for you, right? So you can build large-scale enterprise applications in a real time without any hassles. And they are pretty much flexible and adaptable because you are not restricted or you are not tied to one vendor, and it doesn't matter that which where you are trying to deploy your applications, right? So you can mix and match with the different agents and trying to put them with your ecosystem and set up your AI ecosystem and try to work as per your use case, and you can see how it is evolving, right? And two collaboration, of course, you have seen, right? So there's the two secure collaboration happening. So they can talk, they can negotiate, they can communicate each other, they can build trust. So so everything is happening very closely and very smoothly, right? That's really great. And the great part is the power of open standards. So open standards meaning that you can use these protocols, you can build application and you can also contribute to them, right? That's the beauty about these key protocols. So I have already created one of the demo that I have already created, but what happened last week is there was a down of API usage from the Gemini, so there are a lot of bug fixes in my current application, but most of the code is pretty much there on the GitHub. There with some minimal fixes, that is something I have to do. But what I can show you is, let me go back to my GitHub. So here is where you have the entire application code and all. Maybe I can show you something. How much time I have? 5 minutes? Great. Okay, so this is the application. So it's like, full-fledged application using browser, front end, you also have some front end here. So host agent is nothing but your client agent. So these are the remote agents where I'm just showing the architecture, not the code, because I don't have time to showcase you the code. So this is how the things work. So these two, all these API are built with an AI agent, and you can also see there are different frameworks that are being used. So you can see the LangGraph, you can see the Google ADK, you can see the QAI. So there are bunch of frameworks. So earlier there was a problem. Now everything get now with A2A, you can no matter whatever the framework you are using, but you are able to build the application successfully, right? So I'll give you the GitHub repo. Just explore the code. I think the code is also pretty much straightforward. It's very easy to understand if you know the foundations of Python and general understanding of LLMs, right? You can get it done. Yeah, so this is where you can find the resources about A2A and also how it works in real time and everything. So even if you search in Google, you will get it, right? These blogs. Yeah, any questions?